Hey everybody, it's dinner time, and tonight we are making a pasta salad. I've already started sort of in there, and I'm going to show you my favorite homemade veggie meat recipe. This is a transitional item that's great for those who have family members who might be willing to try a few things but really miss like meat and the texture of meat and that sort of thing, okay? So I'll show that one to you. I'm going to start with the pasta salad so that it'll have time to kind of marinate and soak in flavors of things, and then I'll move on to the homemade veggie meat, all right? So in this bowl I have about 8 ounces of spelt elbow macaroni, okay? Cooked according to package instructions. Now, with that, you may want to undercook it just a little bit in order to give it so that it's not super mushy. All right, so be mindful of that. So I'm just going to put in. I'm going to start with about 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise, and this is just mayo, vegan mayonnaise. So, yeah, I'm going to go for 3. All right, and give that a stir. Let's see how it's coming along. See if we need more. And that also depends on how much you like in your macaroni salad. I want mine to be creamy, and also the pasta will soak up some of that. You'll check it the next day. You thought it was perfect and it might be a little dry because overnight it might have soaked up some of that. All right, so I'm going to do 1 more spoonful, and that's it. I don't want it to be too liquidy. These are all my accoutrements that are going to go in here. All right, so this looks good. Next, I'm going to, it's just me eating, is that okay to do that? Next, I'm going to go ahead and season this, and then I'm going to add my toppings to it. All right, and I'm just going to do, it's about a teaspoon of salt. Well, I'm going to do about a ½ teaspoon, all right? Let's see how that tastes. Then I'm going to add a little bit of dill. Okay, about a ½ teaspoon of dill. I'm using fresh herbs, but I don't have any fresh dill, so I'm using the dried. But this is fresh dried dill, so it's very fragrant. Then I'm going to do some basil. So it's going to be very herbaceous. About a ½ teaspoon of basil. Might add more. That one smells nice and pungent. Then I'm going to do some sesame seeds for calcium. Do you know sesame seeds have like 10, 15 times as much calcium as milk, which everybody says you need for calcium, but the calcium level in sesame seeds is off the charts. Sesame seeds, that's also what tahini is made of. It's just sesame seeds. These are black sesame seeds. All right, now this is where I lost some people because they don't want it to look any different than how Mama made it. If that's how you feel, that's fine. I'm not a traditionalist at all. I like to try different things, mix things together. The sesame seeds add no flavor whatsoever, so I'm just putting them in there strictly for the nutrition. And frankly, I might add a few more if it wasn't for the people in the back judging me, ha ha ha. So now that I have that in, well, let me go ahead and give it a stir. And then I think I have my cayenne. I might do a pinch of that. All right. And I might, after I let this sit, you guys, you may want to go back and add a little mayo to it a little bit later. I'm going to add just a pinch of cayenne here. Another thing that you could add in here would be dry mustard powder. That's not alkaline, so keep that in mind. Mustard can be acidic, so you don't want to use a lot of it. All right. So I got that incorporated, and let's see here, put it over here. Next, I'm going to chop up some onions to add to that. And as you can see here, then I'm just putting in bell pepper, fresh herbs, and then I have a little pickle over here and some olives. So the rest of this is pretty traditional. All right, now I probably should have used my food processor for these onions because I want them to be very, very small. Oops. You know, nobody wants to bite into a big old piece of onion in their macaroni salad. But the flavor of onions can be really, really good. Okay. So let's get this down. So again, that's spelt elbow macaroni in the bowl. Some just mayo, vegan mayo. You could make your own mayo from cashews or Brazil nuts by just soaking them and then blending them down with a little bit of water and some seasonings, and add some fresh herbs to that. Okay. So again, I'm just getting my onion here super, super small to add in to the macaroni salad. And I'm actually going to try this in my son's lunchbox. He does not like cold pasta, but I'm hoping that he didn't like the chickpea lentil pasta I made that was cold. I'm hoping he'll feel differently about this one, since it's the spelt. Okay. And now, one thing, you can add anything, any veggies you want to this, but I would not suggest adding soft veggies like tomatoes, water-rich veggies, I'm sorry, like tomatoes and cucumbers, because or even zucchini. It's just going to get mushy in here after day one. It's not good anymore. All right, so I stick with the heartier things, the onions, the bell pepper. I have some asparagus that I accidentally roasted to smithereens, but I'll show it to you anyway. I'm just giving that a stir, y'all, to see how my onion, I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of this in. So this is about a half an onion, half of a small red onion. Okay, and then I'm gonna do my yellow bell pepper, and my fresh herbs that I have here are parsley and cilantro. Parsley and cilantro are cheap at any grocery store, so no reason not to add them to any and everything that you fix, and just get them in there because they're so good for you. Parsley is so cleansing. That's why it used to be served on plates at restaurants, because it cleans the palate. It's excellent for your digestion, helps your food digest better. It's a diuretic, keeps you from retaining water. Definitely want these fresh herbs. They are natural cleansers. So I'm putting a ton of them in here. So it's going to be very herbaceous and add a lot of flavor, especially the more that it sits over time. So taking the time to just dice it up really small, because it tastes better that way. You don't want to have a huge mouthful of this, right? No one please call Chef Ramsay on me about my knife skills, because they're not great. But I always use a quality knife, and so should you. I was cooking or helping prep at someone's house this weekend, and the knife selection was just awful, and there wasn't a decent cut. It was like one glass cutting board that people use to like pretend like they cook. No ma'am, you need the real deal, Holyfield. You need a real cutting board. So that's what I use, is a real cutting board, and I have 4 of them of varying sizes, small, medium, and then a super, super large one that I use. All right, so now I'm adding in yellow bell pepper. Again, this is based on what I have in the refrigerator. My preference would probably be a red bell pepper, but we are focused on no waste. So we want to make sure that we use what we already have. We're not constantly running to the grocery store. Now, if you happen to be there and you think, oh, I think I want to do a pasta salad, then go for it. But sometimes you might be doing the pasta salad to use up your other leftover stuff. Okay. All right. Boom, boom. I'm getting this small too, y'all. Especially when you're serving kids. They don't like a lot of big stuff. So I try to get my peppers and stuff like this diced up really, really small. Okay. And that's in there. And I'm going to stir it, and then I'll see if I need more of the yellow. I'll see what it looks like. Uh-oh. These are black olives, which I love. And then I have some artichokes and some kosher dill pickles. You know, it really doesn't matter what you put in here again. You could add chickpeas. You could add black beans if you eat those. I don't know how it would be if you added like the French lentils. I would be a little on the fence with that, but it might be good. You know, lentils have such a strong flavor of their own. It kind of overpowers everything. Okay? I promise you this is 5 minutes away from being done. Does not take long at all. Something great to make on Sunday and have it for your lunch during the week with a salad. Just make sure that if you're trying to lose weight, you're not eating grains 3 meals a day. Okay? That's not going to help you. Alright, dropping the olives in. Bring it back over here. Okay? So I often just put like all my favorite stuff in there. I'm making it myself, so why make it exactly like they have it in the stores? Now I'm going to add my artichoke, if I can get it open. Can she get it open though? It's close you guys. Maybe not. Here's a trick to open jars. This is where we are. Back of the knife, or you can use a heavy spoon. All the way around, I'm turning it, I'm turning it, I'm turning it. Then smack it on the bottom a couple times. Look at that, pops right open, all right? I could have just done that to begin with, right? So now I'm gonna take out my artichokes. These are in water. We don't need the extra oil. And I'm gonna do the same thing with these, dice them up super small. I'll add my cucumber. After that, I'll be ready to taste, okay? Let's get one more for good luck. So that's like about 5 artichokes. These jokers, these are a little harder to slice, even with a good knife, because the outer part is so thick. So just do your best, and at some point you may have to give up on some of that outer part. They still taste good, but they need to go in a food processor to get that out. Alright, so I'm not using any of that. It's too hard to chop. Now these, you know, can be in bigger chunks because they're pleasant tasting. I don't always try to get this as small as everything else. Alright, so that's pretty much it on that. I do wish I had a red bell pepper. It would add great color to this dish. That's unfortunate. I'm going to go for my pickles. Totally optional, y'all. Totally optional. I'm going to do 5 of these. Alright, and may or may not go as small as these. Now, I looked at relish today. That's a common ingredient in macaroni salad, right? It's got sugar in it though, so I didn't get it. I didn't buy it. And I'm not at that level where I'm getting ready to make my own pickle relish. I don't think so. Alright, so like so. That doesn't have to necessarily be super small either. Unless you like it that way. It's up to you. But it can add good flavor. Now if I want to balance this with a little sweetness, then I may go ahead and add, I have agave on hand, I have coconut palm sugar. I may add just a drizzle of that because a lot of macaroni salad does have just a touch of sweetness, which is coming from the pickle relish. So we'll decide. This is have I made this before? Maybe once. I used to make it all the time when I was cooking the sad diet, because my husband loves macaroni salad. I think I saw some somewhere this weekend or last weekend, but it wasn't vegan. I couldn't have any, so then I was like, doggone it, I'm gonna make my own. All right, so I think we're done with that. Here's what we have so far. Our herbs are in there. Our artichoke. Look how fresh herbs just make everything look so much prettier. Okay, so for color, I may add some fresh tomato on top of my serving, and that way I don't have it messing up my whole dish. So here's my asparagus that I accidentally roasted to smithereens, like just black, you know. It actually doesn't taste bad. Okay, I'm not going to mix it in here because it's not nice and crisp, but the flavor is still good. You know how asparagus overcooked gets mushy? This is there, but it stayed a little bit longer, so it got crispy again because the oven was on 450, because I was like, I'm just going to roast this for 8 minutes. That didn't work out so well. So this is done. I'm going to give it one little taste test. With my tasting spoon here. And then I'll see what else it may need. Now, with the dried herbs in there, it's going to taste better as it sits. And those flavors have a chance to marry each other. So I'm mainly tasting for salt. I'm a bad mama jamma. That's perfection. Okay, let me tell you guys why this is perfection. So that you learn how to cook without always needing to have exact recipes. The reason why this is perfection is because there's balance in here. With the different herbs that I used, even if you change up, so it really doesn't matter. You use yellow bell pepper, red bell pepper, asparagus, you know, whatever vegetable you want. It's that the herbs are fresh. I would highly recommend you do the dill pickle because that sharpness is great. This does not need mustard at all. Just mayo is already delicious on its own. I cannot taste the cayenne pepper, so I may do a little bit more of that. I honestly could go for a little more salt in here, but I'm heavy with the salt, trying to do better about that, so I'm not going to. So I'm excited about this, you guys. And I'll give son some for dinner tonight and see if he likes it well enough to take for his lunch tomorrow. And because it's vegan, should it be out, you know, in a regular refrigerator, unrefrigerated? No, but there's no eggs in it, so it's okay, all right? She's a bad mama jamma. All right, I'm so pumped about that. Oh yes, I wish I could go in on it, but I'm trying to slim down a little more. So I'm gonna have my serving, and that's it. All right, so let's move this on to the next. This is also maybe 10 minutes, so this will not be a long video tonight, okay? All right, this is something called seitan. I call it seitan because I don't like saying the word seitan. And this is not alkaline. This is a transitional recipe for the meat eaters in your life, right? When they're coming over, you know, they're used to having that thing on their plate, and, you know, that's what you're trying to go for. This is your go-to right here, okay? So, what I have here, Vital Wheat Gluten. For those of you coming to Atlanta, you'll be able to cheaply purchase pretty much everything that you see me use here. You can get this online too. Now, I'm going to show you guys my measurements. However, let me tell you right now, Vital Wheat Gluten is tricky. I really feel like you have to watch videos to learn how to prepare it because I messed it up so many times over the years. The texture has to be right. Then you have to cook it the right way, or else it comes out very weird. And when you put it in your water to simmer, it could just fall apart and it doesn't look appetizing at all. And even though you know it's edible, you don't want it. So I want you to see what the texture should look like, because I don't even measure mine anymore. I'm just measuring it for you guys, okay? So this is a half cup. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and do a whole cup because I'm going to freeze some. If you're preparing this for yourself, you can go ahead and do a whole cup and then freeze it. Now, there is a way to make this alkaline. I just haven't gotten up the courage or time to do it. You can start with white spelt and actually mix with water, and it'll come together, and you rinse it and rinse it. And what you're doing is you're rinsing the starch out until you're just left with the protein that's in the flour. It is possible, and that's how they used to do it old school before you could get Vital Wheat Gluten. Bob's Red Mill also sells a Vital Wheat Gluten on the market, okay? I just get this one because I'm always in that farmer's market. All right, I use this already to make, you may see some in here, I just made a batch. All right, so there's that. Then I have a little bit of chickpea flour. What this does is, y'all, it helps with the texture of it, softens it up a little bit. It's not mandatory. I'm just doing like a spoonful. If you put too much of this in there, it's really soft, not in a good way. Okay, so there's that. Okay, these two are in here together, and now you just want to season this. Now, I'm doing a treat. I'm doing a tester this time for myself. With this one, I'm doing sea vegetable seasonings, all right? Because I want to see, can I create something that reminds me of fish? I saw so much fish this weekend, and it was a struggle. The fish was definitely a struggle for me. So I'm put in here my Vital Wheat Gluten flour and a little chickpea flour to bring it tender. Now I'm using my sea vegetable seasonings. I have kelp, I have dulse, I have nori flakes, which have a strong fish taste, and then I have bladderwrack. The great news about this, you guys, is that sea vegetables boost your metabolism, and they help with a sluggish thyroid. So if you have a sluggish thyroid, you should be finding a way to get sea vegetables in every day. And what I love about them is they smell strong, but it takes a lot to get the flavor in here. So I'm going to go with 2 teaspoons of this bladderwrack. Bladderwrack is so good for you. It's what's in Dr. Sabi's bromide powder people are crazy about. Now I'm going to do a little bit of thyme because thyme complements fish anyway. Like a teaspoon. Can't get it in there. Okay, like a teaspoon of thyme. Might have been a little too much. Hopefully not. And then I'm going to go for my nori. Teaspoon of that. Nori is basically what's the seaweed is made of. No, I'm sorry. Sushi is made with nori. All right. So I'm going to do a little bit, like a teaspoon and a half of that. These can all be purchased on cveg. It's either cveg.org or cveg.com. Okay, this is the kelp. Now, the other option is, so listen, if I mix this together, hold on, let me get this dulse in here. Give you guys a tip if you cook it and you're not tasting the sea taste. There. If you cook this and you're not tasting the sea taste, you can always add more of those seasonings when you get ready to dredge it and then do your fish fry type situation, okay? So now you get that all mixed together, and I think I forgot salt. This is bland, you guys. It tastes like nothing. So I'm gonna need that teaspoon. I think that was my first time putting salt in here. But if it wasn't, if it's still bland, again, when you get ready to cook it after it's in, it's already been boiled and prepared to be a meat substitute, you can always add seasoning the next time. So you can see a little bit of that seasoning in here. All right, now we're gonna add our liquid. I got bananas here somewhere and the fruit flies know it. This liquid is, you could use just water. You could also use water with a little soy sauce in it, or coconut aminos, or Bragg's. I'm not judging you. and this is a cup, so I start, pour about 3/4 in there, and then I start stirring. Because I want to see how this is coming together. Look at what it does. This stuff forms a dough almost immediately. All right. Then you gotta get in there. You can't be scared. Gotta get in there. You're not making pizza dough, okay? All right. All right. This is a good one. I can feel the texture is good. Coming together. Smell it. Now you could taste it. I could taste it, and honestly, I may. And I'm also kneading it a little bit here, which is basically just punching it. I don't really know how to knead like maybe some of the pros do. What you're doing is you're kneading for texture. And while you're kneading, you're picking up some of the flour. So what's interesting is, y'all, I made a batch earlier, and I needed the whole cup of liquid. Then I made this, and I don't need it. I also want this to be a little bit more tender so that it breaks apart, similar to how fish would. There's 100 gluten recipes online that you can look up. You can make it, you can bake it, you can simmer it on top of the stove. Some of them I've even seen you make it like this and then you batter it and fry it right away. I don't really trust those, but I'm not judging. So here we go. But what you'll notice when you make this is, this does not feel at all like bread dough, nor does it look like it, the way that it pulls apart. It's very stringy. That's the gluten. It's because it's a high protein. Okay, this is not flour that you could bake with. So make sure when you get it, it says vital wheat gluten, okay, and not high gluten or anything like that. Vital wheat gluten. So there. So this is it. Now what you could do is just let it sit and rest for a minute. I need some wet wipes, y'all. Let it sit and rest for a minute, and then you could break it into pieces, drop it into maybe some vegetable broth covered, and don't boil it. Keep it at a low simmer for about 45 minutes or so, and it will firm up. You can take it out, test the texture if you like. You can always put it back in the water if it's not how you want it. And when it's done, if done this way, by the way, you can also wrap it in cheesecloth and tie the ends so that you get a nice smooth loaf, like if you were trying to make a lunch meat or something. I just dumped mine in there. So this is the kind that I did earlier, right here. Okay, and this is chicken style. That's how I seasoned this one, very similar to like chicken. And it's good. All right, so I'm going to take this, set it to the side, wash my hands, and come back and show you guys how I bread this one, the chicken one. All right. Okay, so I'll take that and put that in some water to simmer it. I feel like summer needs to be over because of these flies. My people love to let them in. Okay, so we have this right here, and we're going to prepare a wet batter to dip it in. What's in the bottom of this bowl right now is chia meal, okay? So to this chia meal, I can add a little water, and then I'm going to bread it. I'm sorry, I'm making a wet batter. I'm gonna just leave the chia in there. I'm making a wet batter using garbanzo bean flour. This could be spelt, all right? I just try not to use spelt in everything. Okay, so I'm not frying a ton of these, so I don't need a lot of that in there. From here, I just tasted my veggie meat, and the flavor is pretty good, so I don't really need a ton of salt in here. I'm just going to do a pinch just to help it with the flavor. I am, though, going to add more sage, you guys. So I apologize for stepping away to get that. Here we go. just bring all of them in case I decide to do something else. So let me add the sage. Sage, again, is what's going to give it that meaty flavor. Okay. Just a little bit of sage in there. Okay. Next week, y'all, I'm going to have my brother over here to cook with me. And that'll really be a treat because he is a big foodie. He struggles a bit with trying to keep things vegan, but he also loves a challenge. All right, I'm adding some onion powder in here and salt, and that's it. That's all I'm putting in here. And I'll show you guys how the wet batter goes. Now the wet batter, if you don't have chia seed, you can still do a wet batter. And the wet batter helps it to stick, right? That's why you make a wet batter, because you're not using eggs, and this kind of becomes your egg. Now we got a little water here. That's all you want. So it's thinner than pancake batter. But it's going to thicken up some with those chia seeds in there. With the chia meal. So I'm going to add that. The DeKalb Farmers Market here sells chia already ground. Right here. So that's good. That's the good news about that, is that it's already ground up, which makes it much easier to assimilate in recipes like this one. All right, so that's good enough. It's still got a few lumps in it. That's the thing with the chickpea flour, is that it can be very lumpy. Okay, and now all we need to do is, we need our knife back again from earlier. Okay, is take this, well, we don't even need, I could do nuggets, right? I could just pull this apart into pieces like this, or cut it if you're super type A, and just dump it in there. Pull it apart. A lot of the veggie meat that you see in the stores, this is what it's made with. Okay, a lot of those products we just really, really love. A lot of them, not all of them, are made with this. And then you just swirl it around there. It's getting soaked and drenched in that. And this right here is kamut flour. Again, you could use regular. All right, and then just roll it around in there. Get it nice and coated. Kamut flour is very similar to cornmeal. So on the fish version, this will definitely be delicious. And then what you want to do is just frying type 101 stuff. Always make sure you shake that off. Okay, you could do more chickpea flour. You could do quinoa flour in here. You could use up that amaranth that's sitting in your cabinet because you didn't know what to do with it. It really doesn't matter. Quinoa flour adds a nice crust too. Okay. And get that all fully coated on there. But the kamut definitely gives a lovely crust. I like it a lot. So I'm going to fry this up and show a picture at the end of everything, including my little burnt asparagus. That will be on here as well. So go ahead and dump all these in. And because I've made this wet batter so many times before, I already know it's going to be delicious. So I'm batting 2 for 2, y'all. Coach K is 2 for 2 today. So that's it. So I got a whole bowl of this here, but I'm not going to use it all for this. This freezes, but you need to store this in broth or in liquid so it won't dry out. Best thing to do is, unless you're going to use it in a different recipe right away, is you can add it to a stir fry, you can add it to a noodle dish, whatever. Go ahead and put it in some liquid and throw it in your freezer. Freeze the whole thing. That's like the last fly of summer because I haven't even seen flies in here in a while. There it goes. All right, so this one is pretty much coated. And then always make sure that you shake it off because that will turn your oil terribly. You don't want that. All that excess flour that's on there just sinks to the bottom of the pan. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so quick reminders. Quick reminders. Please make your payments for the retreat by Friday. Please. If you're coming, pay your $59 by Friday. For the wellness kit. The wellness kit is an additional $60. It includes a RBE t-shirt, a water bottle, a journal, and a printed copy of the Rebirth Guide, okay, which you guys already have, so that's what's included there. And it includes, you know, the grocery store tour, which everyone is getting that as well, but I probably should have made that just a specialty VIP thing now that I think about it. But here we go. Here these are. They look like little nuggets. I promise you they're going to taste delicious. I'm going to saute, fry, whatever word you want to choose, these up and then serve them on my plate with my pasta salad here that's now been sitting and marinating. It's nice and creamy. And that will be dinner with my overcooked asparagus. Okay, you guys, I hope this was helpful. Keep posting pictures, you guys. I've slowed down a little bit. Keep posting pictures. Let me know what you're eating. How's it going? How's your activity? What's going on? If you're having any challenges, feel free to reach out to me one-on-one. I did one-on-one sessions with most of you back in, I think, April, May time frame. Some of you need to call me and get on my calendar to power through a session together to set your goals and stuff for the rest of the year, or to check in on the goals that we already set together. So don't hesitate to do that, y'all. Like somebody told me, she spends $50 a week on her hair. You can spend $50 to get together with your goals and put together a solid blueprint for yourself that works, that takes into consideration your missteps, your roadblocks, the issues you're having in your career, as well as relationships. I've been working with somebody one-on-one now around her relationship issues and her career, just based on my background and experience in both areas. Married, divorced to the same person, finally in a happy place with that. 25-year corporate career. God is just calling me to pour all of that into what I'm doing, because if your life is out of balance in one area, it's going to affect what you eat. We all know that, right? So we got to get it all together. Spirituality, your career, your health and wellness, your relationships, your spirit and mind. All those things come together to factor into your health. You can eat all the kale in the world, but stress can still kill you. So you've got to manage that thing. Don't let it manage you. All right? With that being said, y'all know I love you guys. There's nothing you can do about it. We do have group meet this Thursday at 8 p.m. And I hope to see as many of you there as possible. Moving forward, group meet will be bi-weekly, twice a month instead of every Thursday, okay? I'll give you updates on that. I may also change this cooking to Sunday evenings because of my son's homework. Anybody who's been on my Facebook page has seen my woes, and tonight was no different. Praise God for changing my spirit before I came live here with y'all, because I'm stressed. So I'm going to cook these up and post a picture in the group and let y'all see them, all right? Have a good night. Bye.